And I'd like to now welcome Dr. Pauline Crawford, the CVO Corporate Heart International, and she joins us from the beautiful land of USA, where I currently am, by the way. And she is going to share her two bits about the power of authentic harmony for women to co-create a joint custody woman for men. Isn't that going to be so interesting? Over to you, Dr. Pauline. Extremely excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Miller, and everybody. Wonderful to see you. I'm going to talk about a few ideas, and I have a few slides just to share because I love visuals, so I hope you do. This is a great passion for me. It's my legacy, it's my life, to bring about a joint custody world. And what I mean by that is we've seen with other speakers, there's so much anxiety in the world, there's so much mental unhealth, there's so much challenges, so many lives. What about we actually look at harmony to co-create a joint custody world? So we invite men to our world. And can we power up? Can we shape the future? I believe we can. And it's all about values that feed our unique needs, especially our last speaker. You know, there's 4 billion women in the world and 3.2 billion of them are mothers. Immediately, that's a different lifestyle to 4 billion men. Women designing a harmonious future with men is up to us, is not up to men. So what I'm asking is, can you switch on the power to light the world so that men can see their way to our natural habitat? So it's very important that we don't stop looking for equality, but we look for harmony instead. I found that when you say equality to men, they kind of freeze. If you say harmony to men, they go, oh, that's interesting. But we know this position. We know that being frozen out by men in the world, men designed the world. And I'm asking, are women ready to quantum leap from the equalities of the past with a new blueprint? Because it is, as our last speaker said, and many speakers, it's about the me. It's about the me in each of us, each woman, each man. But let's focus on women. And I represent authentic harmony and positive masculinity, the global wing with G100. And for me, once we get the me right, and whether it's sleep time or feed time or love time, then we take it into our relationships. So we can't get into these relationships to create a joint custody world unless we love and honor ourselves. And that starts from our children. So the we is the world that we want to create, a world that has much more dancing, playing, dynamism. And yes, it starts with the kids. It starts with the young people, the lost generation who leave school and fall off the edge. I'm working with those as well at the moment, but right through to people as old as me, as baby boomer I am. I was born in England, spent my whole life in England, never realized I would live in Malaysia and now in America. And living in different cultures shows you an awful lot about people. And men and women have battles in all of those countries. So what I've always said is that women have brought life to work. That's the difference. We bring life to work because we can't leave it at home. We either have children or family or elderlies to look after. But I really want us to look at a woman-centric perspective to encompass all the complexity of our life. Women are far more complex, competent, and confident than men. And I think men are often in fear of us. But if we start creating a world which is so enticing for them to come to, that's my logic. There's so many amazing women. We've got Dr. Harvey Naro, we've got Tamilan Labre, we've got all of you. Women have a superpower, which is about nurturing harmonious relationships. And nurturing never runs on the bottom P&L on a profit sheet, but it should do. So what if we could qualify nurturing in a business sense? And one of my lines is that women mean business, but women don't need to be mean to be in business. And I think that's really important because we are very, very able to grow vibrant workplaces. We want to work somewhere where it's happy. There's a lot of evidence that most women in America for sure, are unhappy at work. We can engage a balance of mix of talents. We do want to eliminate harm, whereas men don't naturally want to do that. They do it because we ask them to. So if we are in harmony, we don't have harm. And we always want to improve health and wealth, health and performance. So I think we've got a very strong vision that we can promote, sell to men. But why doesn't it happen? I've asked many senior women, top women, why is it we don't have pay parity and equality? And I have to share with you, all my beautiful ladies here, most of them say it's because women haven't got their act together and shown that we are competent beyond all measure. And we need to promote that. And I believe we cannot solve the problems at the same time level of thinking we were when we created these problems. Obviously, not my quote. Albert Einstein, who I adore, I think he was a very wise man. I believe that we need to get into a circle. And it's interesting because other people here have talked about space. And this space is a space of conversation without judgment and without anger and without coercion. So we come from a space of sharing experiences. And I've done this consistently over 30 years. And it's amazing the results of people who say, men and women who say, oh, it's really good to be in this space because there's no pressure and I don't have to put my mask on and I don't have to put my ego out there. And I say, leave your ego outside the door, pick it up on the way out if you want it. But in this circle, harmony will bring all sorts of results. So what do we do? How do we do it? I created a very simple system, which I'll just show you very quickly, but it's about how we create positive outcomes together. We maximize emotional capacity and talent, and we resolve difficulties through those conversations. So we are unique and different, men, women empowering each other, creating a language, and making sure we are complementary as well as complementary. So very quickly, if we have a joint custody world, we all have to get round the table together. And we have to get there in a world which is not the one of the past. So I created these 4 archetypes, the ruler and the philosopher, the magician and the sovereign. And we want to get them into a conversation. So the ruler is our action man, when man. He wants to know what's going on. He's very task focused. The philosopher is our servant leader. He's saying, why are we here? Our Nelson Mandela. The magician is saying, what about this idea? What about this idea? And the sovereign is saying, who is in here with me? Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it because it's all about sharing values. And volunteering is all part of this. Empathy, compassion, kindness. What do those words mean to us? Can we really listen to somebody else? And that's my challenge to you, because people always say to me, well, what if you get an awkward so-and-so in the circle? What do you do with him or her? Well, you invite them to share without judgment, share from their experience, share from their love. And for you, even if you don't like what they say, to say, well, that's an interesting perspective. Keep the energy up, lively, dance with the words, play with the words, but really getting people to understand that we have spoken men forever, but men don't speak women. So we need to understand that we need to not blame them for, like, women ask questions without wanting answers. Men expect women, when they ask questions, to want an answer. There's lots of data on this, but it's very simple things that make the difference. And we need to really understand that by changing our dialogue, I'll give you an example. The woman goes to a meeting, she's got lots of ideas, and she's sure that the boss, the ruler, is not listening to her and doesn't care and thinks she's an idiot because he's always talking about his stuff. Well, maybe he is, maybe that's his agenda. But if she actually spots what his agenda is and say, well, I hear your agenda, is it that, 1, 2, 3? And he nods, he will buy into your conversation. And likewise for men, to know that there's very valuable things around the table, but women like to talk at tangents. So he needs to listen in a different way. These techniques work because I've made many, many amazing aha moments for clients who say, oh my God, I never realized that was true. So women, we have such rich dialogue now. We're in boardrooms, we're in business, we are there, we're out there. I work with many women in many countries, underdeveloped countries, developing countries. They're always at the bottom of the food pile, but they're always brilliant. So we need to shift that, and we need to shift the whole system. So the joint custody is really inviting men come in. So just to share with you, I first met Dr. Habeen Arora in 2017 on the stage in Delhi. I'd never heard of WEF. I didn't know G100 was coming along, But there I was on that stage, and I so loved it. It was magnificent. I created my dialogue in London. I lived in Malaysia for 4 years. And of course, over lockdown, I went out on Zoom. Here's one of my men-only groups. And we had wisdom, magical conversation circles for every month of COVID. And we talked and asked, how do men see women? How do women see men? And that's where I discovered the word nurture never comes up on the men's dialogue. Men see women as nurturers and women see women as nurturers, but women don't see men as nurturers. Men don't see men as nurturers. That nurture is our gift to the world. And I think that's where we can actually draw in value. So this is part of my wing. I have a fabulous denim partner, Feroz Pera, who's a 20-year Rotarian. And he was the one who introduced me to the book Invisible Women. And if you haven't read this book yet, I really urge you to buy it and read it. It is the most fabulous book because it's about how the world has been designed on a male blueprint, a square grid. And the square grid doesn't understand the circle. So the men, if we give them a view through a women-centric lens, it's about looking through this circle of emotional energy, this circle of menstrual cycles, this circle of our life, which includes 3.2 billion women being mothers. It includes everything that is so fabulous about being a woman. I believe if we look for harmony and we really understand that we are every part of the orchestra of life. So you might be the violin or the brass section or the timpan, whatever it is, but the orchestra is full together. So with the ruler, the philosopher, the magician, and the sovereign, the dialogue goes very deep. And when we go into that dialogue, people just love it. So I would love to share that with anybody who's interested. Please contact me. It is my absolute legacy to take this out to the world. And in fact, Dr. Milan and I were talking about it for kids as well. And we came across a few gender PC problems with boys and girls. But actually, it's exactly what we need to do. Because if we can remember this cycle, this is the most important thing. There's my 2 books. By the way, I have my book in French and I don't speak French. I would like to have it in German, in Spanish, in Arabic, in Japanese, because if we have harmony across borders, we'll be making a step forward. So just remember to switch your superpower on by knowing who you are. You're a woman, you're fantastic. Ed is fantastic as well. So there are wonderful, amazing, fantastic men. Together, the me and you is where we focus on that gender dynamics, intelligence. And then we create a world which is a joint custody world with love and compassion and joy and all the values that we're talking about in this wonderful event. So I will stop there, and I want to thank you all for listening, and especially you, Dr. Milan, because of our such fun conversations about boys and girls and my GDI assessment to which I'm progressing. But to me, it's a possibility that we have in front of us. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's talk about it. Let's get round the table together. And remember, the rules are simple. No judgment. Come from your experience. Listen. Don't get angry, but use passion. And think about no coercion. Use imagination instead. Let's imagine a future that's bigger and better and more wonderful for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline. How brilliant was that? I love the whole dynamics that you're trying to bring about in terms of men and women and the empowerment. Oh my God, the world will be a magical place that actually happens. God willing, it would.
But when we go dancing, when we go partner dancing, you need to have men and women together. Yes, women can work together, but
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes,
that makes babies as well.
that's true. That's true. And I think sharing the dialogue, I think everybody would be interested, to be very
Thank you.
honest. I'm sure I'm not waiting for individual heads up out here, but I think everybody would be very interested in getting that dialogue and getting ready to switch our superpowers, as you said. So, any questions for Dr. Pauline here? Anyone who wants to share something or has a question for her, please feel free to join in. Especially any of the men, if you have any questions. It would be nice to see somebody come up here and, share a thought if there is something that's, it kind of, the four versions that you said, how did you define them? The four types in terms of ruler, philosopher, magician, and sovereign, reminded me of a psychometric test, which is to do with FITs, the feeler, intuitor, thinker, and sensor. And I was like, okay, this is kind of akin to that. It really had me very interested. Probably I'll chat about this at some other time with you
I
one more
would
time.
love to.
But yeah, that would be really, really interesting. It's nice when there is so much that you're giving actually goes and gets disseminated between the men and the women, because this is going to absolutely be magical. This is what I believe,
Yes,
based on what you said. I think
I
it's going
think
to be wonderful.
the main thing to remember is that we're all beautifully different, and that's why we make the orchestra powerful. If we were all the same, it'd be
Absolutely.
very boring.
Very true. As you said, you can complement each other. And we should be doing that. We do it, I think, but it's not a conscious thing that we do. So if we can do it at a conscious level, it'll just probably accelerate the whole process and make it a little more beautiful than what it is already.
Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, okay. Right.
One
So,
of my country chairs has just popped in from Chile, so I just want to say hello to her, Carolina. She's come in from Chile. That's great.
how wonderful. How wonderful. Welcome and enjoy all of what's being shared here, because I think every single step that everyone, and I'm saying step in terms of everyone who's come in, has taken one step further into the journey of values and volunteerism. So it's beautiful because perspectives are varied, though we have the core vision being the same. So it's nice when hearts meet and discuss, and the learnings are so many and plentiful. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Pauline.